Merry Christmas to everyone. I'm happy to report Santa's been here in Australia. It's been a very, very busy night. Lots of children all around Australia and the Southern Hemisphere are opening up their presents right as we speak. And I just had a text message from Santa just before we went live to where he's just about to cross the equator. So that means he's heading into the Northern Hemisphere. So make sure that you get ready. Santa's not on a diet. He likes a bit of cake or a bicky or a glass of milk or something refreshing. And don't forget the reindeers. They like to have a little nibble too on some carrot or some grass or celery or whatever you might have, because it's a very, very big night for them still ahead. They're only halfway around their journey around the world. So let's make this this week, I think, is a very appropriate one. It's the world card. It's overseas trip, money, luck, world in the palm of your hand, and new opportunities. So it's a very, very appropriate card to have out, particularly as Santa is making his travels around the world, is he not? And he is on an overseas trip of mammoth proportion. He's been going all night, and he's still only just over halfway with his journey before he heads back to the North Pole and Mrs. Claus. So this is a really important card to have coming out at the moment while Santa's on his big journey with the reindeer, and Rudolph's heading up the procession as normal. Rudolph's guiding his beautiful light on his nose to show Santa where to go, and Santa's got a list of everybody and all their presents, so that's wonderful. So for us mere mortals and adults, it's an overseas trip, possibly money, luck, the world in the palm of your hand. So this means that there could be some new opportunities looming from many, many people, particularly in the new year, as you start to sort of work out what it is that you want to do with 2025. So today's not the day of contemplation and thinking about your future. Today's the day to have some fun, kick your heels up a bit, have some good times with family and friends. And for those people that aren't fortunate enough to be celebrating it with somebody that they love, my heart goes out to you. Just know all of us here at A1R Psychic Radio do wish you a very, very Merry Christmas, and know that you're in our hearts as well. So it's really important because there is lots of people that don't have someone special to spend this particular day with. So moving on to the astrology section, I'm happy to say that, like things are progressing well on an astrology front, as they always are. It's been a very, very big year astrologically, and we've had lots and lots of changes. But first and foremost, can I say happy birthday to the Capricorns? We've now officially finished the Sagittarian time of the year, and I'm a little bit sad because I love that time of the year, but it's the Capricorn time of the year, and it's the time of the year where we celebrate things that are on an official level, things that are big business, things that we really, really want to sort of get happening in our lives. It's a time now for us to really sort of celebrate everything that's in front of us now, and it's a positive time. So happy birthday, Capricorns. It's a time now where we start to focus more on our finances, on things that are important to us, maybe sort of looking at whether there's some ways that maybe we can make some savings in the new year. But for Capricorns, they're breathing a sigh of relief now because Pluto has finally moved out of their sign and moved into Aquarius, so that they can sort of just breathe now. They can turn around and say to themselves, okay, great, we've done all the hard yards with Pluto in the last 20 odd years. Now we can breathe a sigh of relief. We can sort of slowly start to bed into our new lives and where we hope to be heading. Now, Mercury, the planet of communication, is in Sagittarius. Now, it doesn't matter what your star sign is, but predominantly more Sagittarians, Leo, Aries, and the opposite sign of Jupiter need to be careful of what you say today. It can be a time of not necessarily where we need to have arguments, but it's a time when we can get a little bit hot under the collar or a little bit excited with our communication. So we need to make sure that we tone it down a little bit, because Mercury in Sag is about truth, is about sort of telling somebody something very truthful, being very blunt, and not really thinking about what we're going to say. We just sort of blurt it out. So it doesn't matter what your star sign is, it will affect all of you, but it will affect the fire signs more. So it's a time to sort of maybe think before you speak. I'm not saying don't speak your mind. I'm saying maybe think about it, maybe put it in a way that's a little bit more palatable to the person that's going to hear it, that you don't necessarily have to be sort of so blunt. You can pretty it up with a few words. After all, it is Christmas, like let's make it a little bit more festive. Let's not be, giving somebody the rundown of how you think their life should have gone in the last 12 months and what you would have changed if you were them. You're not them. That's their journey. It's their lessons. It's their mistakes. It's their triumphs for them to make. You've only got to sit in judgment of yourself and worry about your own life, never mind everybody else's. So we're going to move on to Chiron. Now, Chiron, I've been talking about this, is going to be in Aries until the 29th of this month. It's only got a few days to go, but Chiron at the moment is conjunct or holding hands the North Node in Aries. So what it's trying to do, and particularly for Aries, but it's also the other fire signs, Leo, Sagittarius, and the opposite sign of Libra, is it's trying to show you how to heal. It's trying to show you how to heal your wounded soul or anything that you may have been struggling with, things that a lot of Aries people have been sharing with me that they've had lots of flashbacks, lots of things that have come up that are very, very old that they thought they dealt with 20, 30, 40 years ago, and all of a sudden it's been there. They've had to deal with it again. Most of that now is behind us as far as Aries people are concerned. Most of them now are finding an inner peace that they haven't experienced before in their life, or not to this degree. Now, when it's conjunct the North Node is showing you the way forward, is showing you where you need to be, is showing you this is where things need to be. And we can just start again and sort of say to ourselves, okay, I now know I'm on the right path. It mightn't be perfect yet, but I'm heading in the right direction. I know what it is that I need to achieve. I know how to go about it. And I'm doing it now with a quiet sort of confidence and knowing that I've got this inner peace, and finally things seem to be coming together. So this is a really good thing. It is affecting the other eight signs as well, but not to the same degree. So if you've had that light bulb moment and sort of had a few flashes of things in the past and wondered why things were coming back in, why am I thinking about that now? Look at it like this. Look at it like your cell phone. You go slide, 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 slide. We don't have to pull up unless it's something that really catches our attention. And when we're doing that and we're flicking through our photos on our cell phone or our device, that's what we do. We slide, slide, slide until something catches our attention. We'll look at it in the same way. If it's old emotions or if it's old things that are coming up, it's just sort of like clearing everything out, getting ready for the new year so that we're not taking old, outworn memories and things with us, or things that we thought we dealt with that, we're only pulling up if we haven't completely dealt with it, giving it one last look and then giving it the flick. The moon at the moment is in Libra. Now, this is a really nice placement to have the moon over this festive period, because it means that we're going to be a little bit more calm on an emotional front. The moon in Libra is about balancing the scales. It's about sort of trying to keep the equilibrium in everything. So, the emotions aren't going to be running as high as what they could be if it was in another sign. So that's a nice thing. It's more about sort of looking at things and being appreciative of the pretty things, the nice things in life, or the gift that you get, or the gift that you're giving. And quite often the biggest joy comes from the gift that we give, not necessarily the gift that we receive. And that's not a bad thing either. It's a very, very good thing. So it's a very pleasant place to have the moon over the holiday period here, over Christmas Day and day after Christmas, which is Boxing Day, which is nice because it means that there won't be so many frayed tempers or maybe so many family arguments, as sometimes happens at this time of the year when everybody gets a bit overexcited and has a little bit of a tipple, and all of a sudden the tongues start waggling and we start bringing up everything that we're cranky about with somebody, and all of a sudden then there's a family argument. There'll be less of that this year, which is a nice thing. Now, I'm also going to talk about Mars. I know I've spoken about Mars before, but Mars is in Leo at the moment. So it really is ramping everything up. So people are going to be sort of a little bit more performing, I can say. It's sort of almost like they're on the stage of life. And it doesn't matter what your star sign is. Everybody wants to get heard. Everybody wants to get noticed. So make sure that you're not trying to hog all the limelight. Make sure that you're giving other people a chance to have a conversation or have their say, or play with the kids, or let the children be the stars. Let them be the ones on the stage. They're the ones, after all, that Christmas is about, is seeing the joy in their little faces and the excitement and the anticipation, and then Santa comes, and then it's sort of a very big day for them around adults, and everybody's pulling and poking at you, and all you want to do is go and play with your favourite toy. So let them be the stars. Let them sort of do their little performances, because that's what it's about. They're the memories that we take with us through the next year and the years ahead. They're the things that we can't get back, that, little Mary or little Johnny was only 7. Well, they're only 7 for 1 year. They're not 7 next year. So let them have the stage. So I'm going to wrap up the astrology with Uranus sitting in Taurus. Now, look, I know I've been talking about this for a while, and Uranus is retrograde, so it means that the energy is not as intense as it once was, but it's also asking any earth sign, whether you're a Taurus, a Virgo, a Capricorn, or the opposite sign of Scorpio, Uranus is trying to transform your life. So the more you fight Uranus here, the harder he will dig in, the more he will create things out of nowhere, because he's asking you not to um, not to be able to sort of sort this out. So it's a really, really interesting that we need to sort of be very focused, very aware of what is actually happening. And so it's a really important thing that the world around us needs to be prepared for what Uranus is going to bring in. So there's going to be opportunities, there's going to be things there that we're not able to sort of see or do. And it's really a very, very interesting situation. So, you know, no matter what your star sign is, you need to be aware that this is what is actually happening in the world. So we need to be very focused on that. We need to be very focused on the fact that we all are going to be experiencing changes no matter what your star sign is. And it's really important that you work with the energy no matter what your star sign is, because Uranus is like the sudden bolt of lightning. It comes out of nowhere. It brings things to us in a very sudden, definite, deliberate sort of manner, good or bad. So we need to work with this. We need to work with things that are sort of within our control, but also be prepared for the unexpected. And if we can do that, then I think that we can really sort of understand what Uranus is trying to bring about, because Uranus is sort of saying to us, okay, your life needs a bit of a shake up. Things need to be sort of moved around. We need to be able to sort of focus on things, and we need to be able to sort of sort through things and look at things in our lives in a way that we can do things in a different way, that, you know, we approach the next year with a very, very different way to what we have. So it's a really interesting sort of scenario that we have going on here with Uranus in Taurus. It's going to be something that when it does come to an end, I think that we're going to be sort of breathing a sigh of relief, a little bit like we did when Pluto moved out of Capricorn into Aquarius. It's like we'll be happy for the energy to sort of shift, and that's not a bad thing. So it's a really, really important thing now that we get on with our lives, that we sort of start to get ready after the festive period and start embracing what the world is going to change. There's going to be so many changes going on in the world as Pluto moves more into Aquarius. And I've spoken about this on the show in the last few weeks, that Pluto moving into Aquarius, look, there's lots of stuff that's been written on it, but there's, you know, we really have to experience it. We really have to start living it. And, you know, to understand how Pluto is going to work there, because Pluto's energy is slow, deliberate, and definite. And it's something that's very, very slow moving. Yes, it is associated with the underworld and things that are hidden and things that are hidden from us. But it's also something that we need to be aware of, that not everything is going to remain hidden, because the Aquarian energy is about a knowing, is about, you know I know this, I know that. And it sort of sometimes can get a little bit tiresome there, where they think they know everything and they're spruiking their mouth off and only have a little bit of knowledge, but all of a sudden they've become an expert. So we have to be very aware of that as Pluto is starting to bed into Aquarius, that we all don't start to sort of look and believe that we're being like an Aquarian, that, you know, that we know everything, that we can't be told anything. We need to be aware of the fact that there is going to be times where things are going to be very different, where, you know, we may not have all the knowledge, we may not have all the we may not have all the information at our fingertips, I suppose is what I'm saying. And we need to be aware of that. We need to be able to sort of look at things and say to ourselves, what is it that I want to achieve? How am I going to go about it? How am I going to achieve what's in front of me, or what I'm hoping to bring in the future? And it's going to be a very tricky thing, because Pluto in Aquarius is going to stir up lots of emotions. It's going to stir up lots of thought patterns. It's going to stir up a lot of things that we may not have been able to handle in the past, but we now have to find innovative, new, different ways of being able to handle what's being put in front of us. And it's going to affect every sign differently. So yes, obviously it's going to affect the air signs more than anybody, but it's going to filter through to the other remaining signs. Okay, we're going to take our first call, which is Michelle in Alberta, Canada. Are you there, Michelle?
Hi, Amanda. I am.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, sweetie. How can I help you? Do you have a question for me?
Merry Christmas. Yeah, I guess maybe what can you tell me coming in for love?
Okay, for love. That's a nice, easy sort of question. It's really, really interesting because the first thing that upstairs, I like to call them upstairs, is sharing with me is that you've done all the hard yards. Like you've been working through what it is you want, what you don't want. You've sort of got this nice little plan in your hand now that says this is exactly what I want in a relationship. And if it doesn't match up, then it's goodbye. I just flick the switch or I'll go slide next. And that's a good place to be because you've done the work on yourself. You know what you want. You know what you won't accept, but you also are open to sort of, what the universe can bring towards you. But you also know that unless it matches your checklist, that's not going to be right for you either. So I'm seeing someone new coming in around March or April next year, Michelle. I wish it would be a little bit earlier, but I think up until then, I think you've got to just open yourself up, go dating. Sometimes we've got to kiss enough toads before we get the prince, as they say. But when the man does come in around April or May, I've got a very tall man with dark hair. He's got very brown eyes. Now, if his hair was a little bit longer, it's cut quite short. I think there would be a bit of a wave or maybe even a curl to it, but he has it cut quite short. So you can just sort of see like the ridges of where the wave would be. Really, really nice man. I'm going to say to you, he's been on his own for a few years now, and that's been by choice because he felt that after his long-term relationship or marriage broke up, that he needed to take time out. He needed to sort out who he was, where he was going, what he wanted in his life, and he didn't want to sort of take any baggage into a new relationship. So it's only just about now that he's starting to feel ready that he could open himself up to the potential of meeting somebody and is ready for a committed relationship. He doesn't want a series of, dating app sort of, coffee dates or things like that. He'd rather meet somebody the organic way, the old-fashioned way, and, boy meets girl and the chemistry's there and we go out and we start dating and we fall in love. That's what he's hoping for. So it's interesting because they're showing me you're going to meet him through friends, but it's not somebody trying to set you up for a blind date. It's like, oh, a group of us are going to this. Would you like to come? And he's got a group of friends that have asked him, would he like to join whatever it is the activity is, and that's how you meet. It's sort of like you're both at the same location at the same time, but you don't actually, he doesn't know your friends and you don't know his friends. It's just you've both gone out with your respective group of friends and somehow or another you've met in this special event. I know it's an afternoon thing. I felt there was music there and sort of things like that, but I felt for a particular purpose. It wasn't just a music festival. It's like I've gone to a farm event or something and they have an entertainment tent or something like that. It's something that you sort of normally wouldn't go to because it doesn't interest you and you think, oh, what the heck, I may as well go. I've got nothing else on that day. And that's why you go. But it's a really long-term, beautiful relationship, Michelle. And it's nice because the two of you really are ready for the power of love. And that's really lovely.
Very cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. I just wish Santa could have brought him a little bit quicker. But anyway, he's worth waiting for. Yes. Lovely. So you have a lovely Christmas, Michelle.
You nice too. To talk. Many blessings.
Thank you, sweetie. We're going to talk with Elvin now in Buffalo in New York. Are you there, Elvin?
Yes, I am. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Merry Christmas. How can I help you? Do you have a question for me, Elvin?
Merry Christmas as well. A question, actually, yes. Went through a little situation with my daughter, like a court sort of situation. It's been going on for quite a while now, about 6 months or so. And I wanted to see if you see an outcome of that and see her finally coming back home. She's been away from my parents and family for about 6 months. It's about June. So obviously, as the family misses her, especially around the holidays. It's been a little rough. But just want to see if there's a future outcome on this situation.
Okay, Elvin, look, I feel very, very sorry for you and the family, not having your daughter with you at Christmas. One thing I will say is by laws of different countries and things like that, we're not actually technically able to answer a legal question, but what I can do is look at it from an energetic level. That way then nobody gets into trouble. And it's interesting because on an energetic level, I do feel that there's going to be a positive outcome. I do think that your daughter is feeling the same sort of anxiety and upset and not as happy as she could be at this time of the year as you and your family are. But she's pretty stubborn. She's not going to admit it, though. She doesn't like admitting she was wrong. And it's sort of like it's a bittersweet moment for her because even though she was the one that instigated a lot of what went on, I'm not even sure now that she wants to own a lot of what went on, if that makes any sense. It's sort of like she's changing her mind all the time, but yet she's so stubborn she won't admit she was wrong or she shouldn't have done this or she shouldn't have done that. But I do think that as much as I say we can't talk about legal stuff, I do actually think it will get very close to being before a judge in a court of law, but I think we'll actually get a resolution just prior to that. So I think we need to hang on to that, even though we may have a date to go to court and for it to be resolved. I think it will actually be resolved before that. It's interesting because when your daughter does come back, and she will, it won't be just yet, and I don't even know that it's going to be in the early part of 2025. I'm hopeful it's going to be before June, but that's a big hope at this point. It's going to be a very different relationship, Elvin, because obviously both sides have been a little bit battle-scarred here, but she's also going to have a different sort of wisdom. You know, she will be closer to you in a way that she's never been closer before. And maybe, just maybe, in hindsight, all that you've gone through will be worth it. You know, I don't believe anything ever happens without there being a good reason for it, even if we don't understand it. Us mere mortals don't understand it, why this had to be. But, you know, sometimes things are karmic, sometimes things is the only way things can be resolved, and that we don't keep repeating these lessons lifetime after lifetime, is that this is the lifetime it's got to be sorted. And that's what I feel with this. So as difficult as it is, and I appreciate and understand that, you know, you really, really would like that connection with your daughter at Christmas. And it's, you know, it's a hard time of the year when somebody's not there that should be there and you don't know how to fix the problem because, you know, it took two to cause it and it takes two to reconcile it. And it's sort of like she's got to meet you a little bit of more than halfway because you can't keep giving in to her all the time either, Elvin, and that's not helping her learn her lessons either. So it's you know, you're between a rock and a hard place, as we say here in Australia, and that's not an easy place to be. But all I can suggest to you, Elvin, is, you know, as you go through the holiday period, is just keep sending her love and light. As much as you might wonder what she's up to and you hope she's having a great time and all those sort of things, just keep sending that sort of positive energy because, believe me, she will pick up on that. She might necessarily send it back to you, but she will be picking up on it and it will sort of start to permeate through her soul. And I think that's important because she is very stubborn, as I said, and she's not going to admit she was wrong or that she could have handled things differently. That's just not in her makeup. She just doesn't believe that she's ever wrong. And that's going to be the hard rock, I suppose, to climb over for both of you to find some sort of middle ground there. So it's really sad that, you know, she's not with you for Christmas, but look forward to better days ahead. And I'm pretty certain she'll be with you and back around the Christmas table next Christmas, and that'll be something to look forward to. So I hope that's sort of given you a little bit of peace of mind at this time of the year, Elvin.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're picking up a lot of energy on the mother. So she's only 4 years old. But the mother's what? The mother's who's the person.
Oh, she's only little.
Yeah, she's only 4.
Much older than that. I was picking up sort of like early teens, so she must be a very mature little girl.
Yeah, it's the mother that actually caused all this trouble that I'm in right now.
Right.
We had a breakup, and she didn't like that we broke up, so she went ahead and said a bunch of lies and went to downtown in our area and just made a bunch of lies and try to put me in a bad position. So my legal, you know, team are trying to battle, but things have been going so slow. So that's basically where we're at this moment.
Unfortunately, Elvin, that's not an uncommon sort of story. People tend to sort of fabricate the truth when they want to get their own way, and, you know, particularly when, you know, there's been a nasty breakup and everything. But look, just know your 4-year-old daughter misses you and loves you and just keep sending her positive energy. But it's interesting that the energy that I was picking up, if that energy I was picking up wasn't your daughter, is that your former partner behaving like a teenager out of control?
Absolutely. She's out of control, completely out of control.
Yeah, well, look, I know you're going to have, you know, a reconnection with your daughter. Just keep sending her positive love and just keep fantasizing in your mind that she's been to see Santa and she's having a wonderful time. Because that's all we can hope for a little 4-year-old, that, you know, she still has the magic of Christmas and not this negativity that a mother's swirling around everywhere. So just, and keep putting her in your mind's eye in a protective bubble that nothing penetrates your daughter, that, everything nasty just slides off her. And that's the best gift you can give her at the moment. Anyway, Elvin, that's where we've got to leave it. The show's just about to come to a close, but I wish you Merry Christmas, and just keep your daughter safe in your thoughts and your prayers. And Merry Christmas. Anyway, that's where we're going to leave the show now. We've come to the end of the show. The show goes very quickly, as it does every week. And, there's lots of people that are struggling with different family issues around the world. It's sort of a time of the year where it sort of really is exaggerated and becomes more real than it does sort of, at another time of the year, because we all want to be together. We all want the best, the very, very best for our families at this time of the year. And, a lot of families do struggle that they are apart and for various reasons and not able to spend the time with their loved ones. So it is an emotionally difficult time of the year. I want to leave you with a beautiful Christmas carol this week. I struggled to find which would be the most appropriate, and I came back to my ultimate favourite singer, John Farnham and Olivia Newton-John, and Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. So I hope you and your family have a wonderful Christmas wherever you are in this amazing planet of ours. Until next week, have yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Bye for now.